There is a specific, quiet moment in your financial journey that feels almost like a glitch in the matrix. It is the moment when your portfolio grows more in a single year than you actually contribute to it. Most of us are conditioned to believe that the only way to build wealth is through the sheer force of our own labor, the grind fatigue of trading hours for dollars. But the data-backed truth is that there is a tipping point where the heavy lifting shifts away from your paycheck and onto the math of compounding. Today, we are breaking down the exact moment when your portfolio becomes self-sustaining wealth. This isn't about some flashy secret. It is about the real, measurable point where your money officially starts doing more work than you do. Look, I know that the first 5 or 10 years of saving feel like a total slog. You are cutting back, you are living below your means, and you are putting money into an account that feels like it is barely moving at all. It is hard to stay motivated when you can't see the engine running under the hood. But before I show you the crossover math that changes how you will view your job and your future forever, I need to ask for a trade. If you are tired of the hustle culture noise and you want a calm, rational approach to your life, hit the like button. It helps us find more people who value stability and dignity over flashy status symbols. All right, let's look at the two engines of your wealth and how they eventually switch places. The common take is that you have to keep your foot on the gas until the very day you retire. We are taught that if you aren't constantly maximizing your contributions and working overtime, you are falling behind. It makes the journey feel like an endless uphill climb where the peak is always just out of reach. But the reality is that your wealth is actually powered by two different engines. Engine number one is your labor, your paycheck, and your manual savings. Engine number two is the math, compounding, and market growth. In the beginning, engine number one does all the work. But as your balance grows, a contrarian truth emerges. Your personal labor eventually becomes the least important factor in your wealth. I have analyzed the growth trajectories of hundreds of portfolios, and today I'm showing you how to identify the moment these two engines switch places. We are going to look at the second U, why the first $100,000 is the only part that actually matters, and how to know when your portfolio is officially the one in the driver's seat. To understand the tipping point, you have to define what the crossover actually looks like. It is the moment when your portfolio's organic growth in a year exceeds the total amount of money you contributed from your paycheck. Think of your portfolio as a second you. In the early years, this second you is an infant. It can't even crawl, so you have to carry it. But once you hit a certain threshold, let's say $300,000, at a 7% return, that portfolio is earning $21,000 a year on its own. If you are only contributing $15,000 a year from your salary, your money is now officially outworking you. You have moved from savings mode to management mode. You aren't the primary driver of your wealth anymore. You are just the navigator. Why is the first $100,000 always described as a slog? It's because until you hit that number, the math doesn't have enough weight to move on its own. Think of the boulder analogy. Moving a massive boulder from a standstill takes every ounce of your strength. That is your first $100,000. But once that boulder starts rolling, the momentum takes over. To get from $0 to $100,000 might take you 5 or 6 years of intense effort. But getting from $600,000 to $700,000 can happen in a single good year in the market without you adding a single penny. This is the black magic of the tipping point. The hardest part of the journey is at the very beginning when you have the least to show for it. Once you pass that first major milestone, the math begins to do the heavy lifting for you. Here is the villain of the self-sustaining dream, the inflation illusion. You might look at your account balance and see that it is growing by $30,000 a year, which feels incredible. But you have to check your car gauges. Net worth is just the oil level. It doesn't tell you if the engine's actual power, your purchasing power, is keeping up with the cost of living. If the market grows by 7%, but inflation is running at 4%, your real momentum is only 3%. This is why some people hit their tipping point on paper, but still feel broke. They are looking at the nominal number instead of the liquid reality. To be truly self-sustaining, Your portfolio doesn't just need to outwork your contributions. It needs to outwork your contributions and the rising cost of bread, rent, and healthcare. Until you account for the inflation villain, your self-sustaining engine might just be idling in place. To see how this looks in practice, let's look at two individuals at the same crossover point. Mark is a high achiever who ignores the math. He has reached the tipping point where his portfolio earns more than he saves, but he is still grinding 60 hours a week in a job that burns him out. He's obsessed with the oil level, constantly checking his balance, but never realizing the engine is already full. Because he won't acknowledge the math, he is trading the best years of his life for money his portfolio is already making for him. Sarah, on the other hand, is the rational peer. She recognizes the exact moment her second you takes over the heavy lifting. Once she sees that her portfolio is outworking her salary, she makes a move. She pivots to a lower stress role that she actually loves, one that pays less but covers her daily expenses. She doesn't need to save another dime because the boulder buy is already rolling downhill. Mark is a slave to a finish line that doesn't exist. Sarah is free because she knows when the math has already won the game. So, how do you find your own tipping point? You don't need a complex spreadsheet. You just need to track one simple ratio: annual organic growth versus annual contributions. Take your total portfolio balance and multiply it by a conservative 5%. If that number is higher than the total amount of cash you shoveled into the account last year, you have officially reached the crossover. Break it down even further to a monthly growth target. If your goal is to save $1,000 a month, your tipping point happens when your portfolio balance hits $240,000. At that level, a 5% return is exactly $1,000 a month. Every dollar you earn from that point on is the math doing the work for you. That is your mental exhale number. Imagine the shift in your psychology the day you realize you are no longer the primary provider for your future. The "what if I get fired" anxiety starts to evaporate. You move from a life of having to work to a life of choosing to work. Your portfolio becomes your boss. It provides the stability that allows you to stand up for yourself at work, to take longer vacations, and to sleep through market volatility, because you know the engine is already running. You aren't chasing a Lambo, you are chasing the quiet dignity of a self-sustaining life. Stay the course. The first $100,000 is going to feel like a heavy, exhausting lift, and there will be days when it feels like the boulder isn't moving an inch despite all your effort. You will see others taking the flashy route, spending their engine's oil on status symbols while you're still in the trenches. But keep pushing. Once you hit that tipping point, the physics of your wealth changes. The math takes over, the momentum shifts, and the journey that started as a steep climb becomes a steady, downhill roll toward freedom. You aren't just building a bank account, you are building a second you that will eventually replace your need to trade time for money. There is a profound, quiet power in knowing that even while you sleep, your engine is running and your floor is rising. If you want more data-backed strategies that help you reach that mental exhale faster without the get-rich-quick noise, hit the subscribe button and join our community of rational investors. We are focusing on the long game, ignoring the hype, and letting compounding do what it does best. By subscribing, you're choosing to prioritize your future dignity over temporary status. Keep your engine tuned, keep your eyes on the crossover, and remember that the hardest part is already behind you. Stay the course. I'll see you in the next one.